Welcome to the Author Your Life podcast, where you can write a new script for your life and become the hero of your story. I'm your host, David McRae. You are the author of your life. Let's get started.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Before we launch into the podcast, I'd like to tell you about my book, Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story. This is a book for people who are at a crossroads in life and want to make a fresh start. Judging by the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I suspect that you may well be one of those people. This book is going to help you to change your narrative and rewrite the scripts in life that are holding you back. This book covers the latest science and research showing you how to become the person you want to be and live the life that you want to live. I'd like to invite you to get this book not only because I feel it's a great book that's going to help you, but also it's going to support the podcast as well. I love podcasts, but sometimes all of those ads that you get can be really irrelevant and annoying when you just want to listen to a good piece of training or a good interview. So I therefore made the decision with my podcasts that number one, I wanted my podcast to be free so that everyone could listen to it. And number two, that I wasn't going to fund it through all these annoying and irrelevant adverts and commercials. Therefore, if you want to support the podcast and support all the things that I put out there for free, whether it be here on the podcast, my YouTube channel, other areas on social media, then buying a book is going to enable and help that process. So this is what we call a win-win scenario. By buying the book, you help to support my work and all the free stuff that I put out there, and you also get a really transformational book that's going to help you make those changes that you really want in your life. So if you feel you're someone who's at that crossroads in life, you're looking for a new direction, you're looking for a fresh start, then make sure you get this book. Author Your Life, Become the Hero of Your Story is available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Whatever your preferred medium, it's there for you to go get right now. Hello my friends, welcome back to another episode of Author Your Life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about mentors and how you find mentors and the type of mentors that you should be finding. Now this is something that comes up a lot in the success literature and in personal growth and development, is talking about the importance of mentors. When many people ask the question, how do I become successful? What do I need to do? A number of gurus and thought leaders will say, you've got to get a mentor. Find yourself a mentor who will teach you everything that you need to know to get to where you want to go in life. And I think this advice is good advice, but there's a depth and a nuance that needs to be added to this advice. So you might go up to someone and say, what do I need to do to be successful? They say, well, you've got to get a mentor. And you say, okay, will you be my mentor? And they say, oh, well, no, I can't be your mentor. You need to find someone else who will be your mentor. So you go around and you start asking potential candidates, will you be my mentor? Will you be my mentor? No, I can't be your mentor. You have to find someone else. How do we actually go about finding a mentor? Because finding a mentor isn't like finding a convenience store or finding the best keyboard on Amazon. Finding a mentor is a relationship building process. And you don't just find relationships. Relationships are something that develop organically. And in a certain respect, you don't find your mentor. Your mentor finds you. So what I want to look at in this episode is, well, how can you start to get some of the benefits of having a mentor before that time actually comes? How do you get some of the benefits of having a mentor before your mentor finds you? So what I'm going to look at are 3 different types of mentor that you should have in your life and how you can bring these mentors into your life. So let's get started by looking at the first type of mentor. The first type of mentor that everyone should have is an inspirational mentor. An inspirational mentor is someone who shows you possibilities, They make you believe that you can be more than you are. Now, the really key aspect of an inspirational mentor is they're not someone that you have to have a direct relationship with. They're not someone that you have to be in contact with every day, every week, every month. Your inspirational mentor doesn't even need to know you. What's important is not that you have a two-way relationship, but there's at least a one-way channel where you can pick things up through that mentor. Now imagine that for some of you who are watching this video or listening to this episode, I could be an example of an inspirational mentor. You listen to the podcast or you watch my videos on YouTube because there's something that you get when you watch these, when you listen to these. In some way, after these episodes, you are inspired or you have a moment of insight, you're motivated, you're enthusiastic about something. There's a change that happens when you come into contact with me and my message. That's what an inspirational mentor is all about. There's someone who changes you when you come into contact with them. And this doesn't necessarily have to be in what we consider to be the traditional one-to-one mentorship relationship. So to use an example far grander than little old me, we could look at someone like Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins has inspired probably millions of people by now over his career. And so many people have had great success that they attribute to Tony. They attribute to listening to his audio tapes, from attending his seminars. But Tony never actually mentored them. He never coached them. He never worked one-on-one and guided them and told them what to do. It was just through his message, his personality, his perspective, that these people were impacted and influenced. And this is the power of an inspirational mentor for you. You don't need to have met this person to be inspired by them. And that's the type of mentor I think we should all have. Now, if this is someone who you do have a personal relationship with, that's great. And you might have more than one inspirational mentor. You might have an inspirational mentor who you do know and someone who you don't know. What's key though is to have this type of mentor, because what this type of mentor shows us is they show us that we can be something more. They show us a pathway, a journey to growing and progressing. They allow us to believe. They allow us to expand what we think is possible for us. When we have this type of mentor, we are able to become more than we are because we're inspired to do so. So that's the first type of mentor that we should have in our lives. The second type of mentor we should have is a skills mentor. So if an inspirational mentor shows you the possibilities, the skills mentor shows you how to get there. So a skills mentor is someone you look up to who teaches you how to do something. They show you the technique, they show you the process, they show you the framework. Now here's the really key part about a skills mentor. Again, this doesn't have to be someone you know personally. You can learn skills without that person being there directly and working with you one-to-one. Why do we have a booming online education system? Because people can go online and learn stuff from people who they've never met and who have never met them. You can learn stuff from people without having this one-to-one deep mentor-mentee relationship with them. If you take an example of a basketball player like Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe Bryant is one of the great basketball players. He's the third highest scorer in history in the NBA. Now, Kobe Bryant, when he was growing up and he was starting to get into basketball, like many basketball players his age, he looked up to the great basketball player of the time, Michael Jordan. Now, Michael Jordan finished his career as the third highest scorer in the NBA. And actually, Kobe Bryant ended up overtaking Michael Jordan by the end of his career. Now, what's significant about this? What's significant is that Kobe Bryant used Michael Jordan's example to become the basketball player that he became. He looked at the way Michael moved, the way that he shot, the way that he positioned himself around the court. And he emulated that, he replicated that. Michael Jordan was able to teach Kobe Bryant basketball long before they ever met on a court together. That is what a skills mentor can do for you, and it doesn't have to be someone who is in your personal life. If you have a skill, a passion, a profession that you know you need to develop, find someone who's good at that thing and watch how they do it. Watch that athlete, watch that musician, watch that businessman, whoever it might be. Say, what do they do that allows them to be the success that they are? And what can I do to replicate that? How can I take some of what they do and bring that into my own growth and my own progression? So this is how we can learn from people, even though we don't have them in our personal lives. Now again, it's great, of course, if you do have a skills mentor in your life, someone who can meet up with you and they can have that little more personalized approach. If you look at something like athletics, for example, it's great to have the coach there with you who can notice all of the small movements, all of the small inaccuracies, all of the small improvements that you can make there in real time. That's fantastic to have that, but you don't necessarily need to have that. You can still have that remote skills mentor. So that's the second type of mentor that I think we all need. We need the inspirational mentor who shows us the possibilities, the skills mentor who shows us how to do it. Now there's a third mentor, and the third mentor we should have is a social mentor. Now here is the exception. A social mentor is someone who you should know personally. A social mentor is someone you should have direct contact with. And that is where their power lies. The social mentor is someone who you can bounce ideas off. The social mentor is someone who can guide you, who can instruct you, who can give you advice, who can give you a sounding board. They're someone who they have that deeper relationship with you, and you have a greater level of interaction with them. This is more of the traditional coach or traditional mentor paradigm that we are aware of when we're thinking of mentors. Now your social mentor, they don't necessarily need to be someone grand and spectacular, someone who's at the top of the field that you want to be at. They don't have to be someone who's even necessarily trained as a coach or a mentor, whatever it might be. They're just someone who you respect, someone whose opinion, perspective, life experience you hold in high regard. They might not be able to help you directly with some of the things that you're working on, but actually sometimes that's not really what you're looking for. Sometimes it's actually an advantage to have someone who's outside the bubble, because they can offer a neutral, unbiased viewpoint on what's going on, what you're looking to grow and address and improve. Someone who I use in my life, for example, as my social mentor is my partner. I'll talk to my partner and I'll say, this is what I'm working on in my business, or this is what I'm trying to improve in my personal life. And she will give me a sounding board for ideas. We can talk things over. We can formulate action plans, and she can give me advice and offer me perspective. Now, she might not necessarily have any knowledge of what I'm trying to work on or what I'm trying to tell her about, but that can sometimes be the advantage, because you can get so stuck in the bubble that you need someone to come in from a different angle and show you a different perspective. So this is the third type of mentor that we should have in our lives, is this social mentor, someone who we can go to and who we can share things with, who we can get a second opinion on, we can bounce ideas off. And this is someone who you should know personally. This is the traditional viewpoint of mentorship, that you do have someone who you can meet up with and you can talk things over. So those are our three types of mentors. And I would encourage you to think who these mentors are for you right now. If you're going to write down a list of names for people who would be an inspirational mentor, people who would be a skills mentor, and people who are or could be a social mentor, who would these people be? Try to get at least one name for each category. And of course, what I'd encourage you to do is have more than one name. Try to get at least 3 in each category, because then you have all of these people who you can learn from, who you can look up to, whose influence and impact you can take on into your life. You have one perspective, but the power of a mentor is that they give you another. And if you can take these different perspectives and combine them with your own, you're going to start seeing the journey. You're going to start seeing the possibilities. You're going to start seeing the aspiration so much more clearly. So I hope you found this useful today. And of course, I hope that you continue to find these episodes useful. And I look forward to sharing more insight and advice and information with you, especially if I'm one of your inspirational mentors, perhaps. Now, as always, I look forward to speaking to you next time. But until then, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. I'll speak to you soon. David. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it hugely if you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. With your review, please be as honest and detailed as you can be. Because with honest and detailed feedback, that helps me to adapt and grow this podcast to most serve you, the listener. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you aren't going to miss any of the future episodes that we've got lined up for you. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. So go out today and write yourself a beautiful story.